Hello everyone, it is Dozel. I am doing this video. It's a lore, prequel, and how to watch video. Basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about Gundam and what it's about, and how to watch this multiple series franchise. And so here we go. Gundam started in 1979. It was a low-budget anime that would end up creating a staple of anime, or one of the best animes ever made. It would create it would create what everybody knows. It would put the mech anime genre on the map. And it shows that, like, mech animes don't have to be like this little kiddie freaking oh my god, it's so huge fucking thing. It shows that it can have a little bit of a darker side as well as a awesome side to it. And it would create, like I said, it would create something bigger than I think what the creators initially intended. So, how exactly do you watch Gundam? Well, first things first, you need to understand there is. You will go to a anime site, type in the search engine Mobile Suit Gundam. You will get multiple results. Multiple results. Like, you go to Kiss Anime, which has one of the best Gundam selections to watch right now that I know of. And it tends to... It will give you everything from movies that are supposed to shorten the series, a certain series, to OVAs, to one-shot series, to stuff that's still being made right now. Because this is a series that has multiple beginnings and endings. There is no one definitive episode 1, because that's usually where you would start, right? Well, as it stands right now, that is not the case. It's not like The Simpsons, where it goes from season to season. It goes from series to series. And for those who are curious, The Simpsons is not actually the oldest television series out there. It would be Gundam. And Gundam tries to... The funny thing I remember is that it's got 10 plus years on The Simpsons, and the funny thing that I remember is that on the 20th anniversary of The Simpsons, they just played the movie on FX. While Gundam did one of the biggest one-ups I've ever seen in my life, and that is build a giant fucking light-up statue in the middle of a freaking park somewhere. Freaking amazing. Oh, so I'm sure that probably a lot of you come up across this video and say, hey, wait a minute, Doctor Who's older than Gundam. I say to you, stop trying to be on the board. Who watches Doctor Who? And I probably just pissed off a lot of people with that. So, how do you watch Gundam? Well, again, we gotta take a look at a little bit of a graph here. Gotta take a look at a little bit of a graph here to sort of help you understand, and that is the 4 eras of Gundam. Now, each Gundam series is divided into their own separate category, and it's to help you understand that you might be thinking that a series is a part of what you're supposed to be... Like, let's say you would watch the original Gundam, the original Mobile Suit Gundam. You would look at the next one on the list and think, oh, this happens right after, and it probably doesn't. So that's where the 4 eras of Gundam come in. So you got the Universal Century era, or Universal Century, and this is a timeline in the Gundam universe where the original Gundam starts off from. Examples that are part of these series, because these are not all the examples. There are like over 20 different series and spin-offs. So this is just to include some of the spin-offs as well. So you got Mobile Suit Gundam, where it all started, War in the Pocket, Stardust Memory, Origin, 8th MS Team, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, Char's Counterattack, MS Igloo, and Unicorn. And I don't give a fuck what you guys think about that name. That series is fucking awesome. These are all series that are set in the Universal Century timeline. Then you got the Quad Gundams, which are really the pride and joy of Gundam. These are series that during the golden age of anime and cartoons in America, during the late 90s, early 2000s, you got two big animes that came over, and that was Dragon Ball Z and Gundam. You had a bunch of the Gundam series, including the original Gundam, 8th MS Team. Stardust Memory was on Saturday nights at late night with Adult Swim. So was War in the Pocket. I can't remember if Zeta Gundam or Double Zeta Gundam or Char's Counterattack came out there. I know MS Igloo didn't. And you also had the pride and joys of Gundam, which is Gundam Wing and G Fighter, or Mobile Fighter G. And even if somebody did not become an anime fan after that, they still remember watching Gundam Wing or G Fighter. So, the Quad Gundams are the pride and joy of them. And these consist of only 3 of the series, and that is Gundam Wing, G Fighter, and Gundam 00. Gundam 00 being the newest edition out of them. Then, you got Cosmic Era. Which, I know this starts to sound lazy, but this is actually how you're supposed to do it. At least how I think it should be done. Cosmic Era, or as I like to call it, Heresy Era. Gundam Seed, it's basically any Gundam series that is with the title Gundam Seed. It's really that simple. And do not watch these series. They're god-awful. I think it was the only attempt that Gundam tried to go as a mainstream series, and even though not all mainstream series are bad, Gundam Seed was one of the worst I've ever seen. It was really bad. I mean, when you literally have to take a lighter to a model of White Base, a shift from the original Gundam, and then call it something else, melt like the legs and everything and call it something else, that is pretty freaking bad. That is poor workmanship. I'm sorry. That's poor artistic ability, poor workmanship. It's horrible. Then you got the one-shots, which is literally everything else. Because not all Gundam series have become worthy to make their own category, as I should say. So, series in this would be like the recently in production second season, the recently finished and waiting on a second season, Iron-Blooded Orphans, Turn A Gundam, which is an older series that was Gundam's attempt at steampunk, Gundam Build Fighters, and SD Gundam and After War Gundam X. Now, a little thing about Gundam Build Fighters and SD Gundam. There are actually multiple series to these things. Gundam Build Fighters has 2. SD Gundam, I think, has 3. Now, hang on. Why don't they get their own category? There's more episodes of one of them. There's more seasons and more series to them. Well, the thing is, these are SD Gundam is Gundam's attempt at trying to getting younger kids into Gundam, and it actually butchers what Gundam is, so it really doesn't deserve its own category. And then Gundam Build Fighters was a gimmick series like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Beyblades. Basically, its only reason for existence was to sell a product. And that was not to sell episodes of the series. That was to sell a toy or game. That being Gunpla. And I don't know if I can't remember if I mentioned this in my series. The whole reason why I'm doing these Gundam videos, these Gundam lore videos, is because on April 28th, Gundam Breaker 3 comes out on Play Asia, and I can import a subbed version of that game. So I'll be doing playthroughs of that if I didn't mention that in my previous video. And this is how you divide all the Gundams and put the Gundams in their places. So exactly, what does this all mean? Well, it's just to give you a basic understanding and understanding on why it's not just one continuous series, and it's just to tell you like what you should watch and what you shouldn't watch. So basically everything else except SD Gundam and Gundam Seed, do not watch those series. Then let's get to the meat of this video. Let's get to the actual list. So this is the list on the proper way to watch Gundam. This is because, like I said earlier in the video, there are multiple series and there are multiple spin-offs. Mobile Suit Gundam has, the Universal Century in particular has a lot of spin-offs. And as you know, spin-offs don't necessarily continue the story. These are the series that, especially with the Universal Century series, because you want to start with with how Gundam started, because you're not going to know anything else. And so you got number 1 as Mobile Suit Gundam, the original, of course. Number 2, Universal Century 0083, Stardust Memory. 3, Zeta Gundam. 4, Double Zeta Gundam. 5, Char's Counterattack. And 6, Unicorn. Now, I would like to point out that you would probably go through Mobile Suit Gundam and then go on to Stardust Memory and thinking, hey, they really improved on their animation, and then go back to Zeta Gundam and realize, why the fuck doesn't it look like Stardust Memory? Well, the funny thing about that is that they tend to, what Gundam really likes, what the creators of Gundam like to do is to go back. So they'll make a series, sometimes even like to further the series, not just a spin-off, that would go back into, say, like the Universal Century series and make a new series that continues the storyline or has something to do with the storyline. Like, which, when you watch Stardust Memory, you will basically understand all this. So, a lot of the series are newer than, let's say, Mobile Suit Gundam. Especially when you come to the final one, which is Unicorn, which was only created in the past 10 years. So, you also got OVA series, which is what Stardust Memory and Unicorn was, which means they're technically going to have a lot better animation and have a lot more into it than, like, let's say, Zeta Gundam, which spreads it out over, like, 50 episodes. I know that sounds a lot, but, you know, it's rather than watching everything all at once. So, that is how you watch Gundam. And after Unicorn, it's basically at your own discretion. I advise against watching Gundam Seed and SD Gundam, because Gundam Seed is heresy, and SD Gundam really just butchers it. Butchers what Gundam is. And that's my video. Have a good night, everybody.